Hello and welcome to episode number 38 of Just Chillin'. I am one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I am your other host, Andy Bell. How are you, mate?
Oh man, it's been a week. It has
It's been
been
longer than
it's
a
been a
week.
weird. Yeah, it's been longer than a week. Well, first, since this is our first time back since being on the Sith list, I'd like to say thank you to those dudes. Those dudes were awesome. That was such a fun episode. It was like I feel like I was on the Indiana Jones like minecart scene where it's just like we're riding down the rails and all this crazy stuff's happening. It was a good old time. It was a blast. Really appreciate those guys having us on, and it was a lot of fun. If you haven't listened to it, you should. Yeah.
Yeah, we went quite deep during and I hope if you do listen, folks, I hope you're a Patreon and you can listen to the preamble before the main event, because it's quite a lot of fun as Sean and I choose a year respectively of music. It was good fun, and I think we went on for a little bit too long, but hey, that's our style, right?
About to say, I think we turned their normal 15-minute Patreon segment into a 30-minute Patreon segment,
Yep.
and we turned their podcast from an hour segment to like an hour and a half segment. So the whole Patreon episode in total, I think, is like 2 hours and 15 minutes. And so,
Yep.
congratulations to us. We have that kind of staying power. And but no, it was a lot of fun. I was surprised at how much fun that I had. Like, not that it wouldn't be fun, but I was just surprised at like how fun it was, especially considering like how we neither one of us had watched like two of the shows that they were going to talk about, like Agatha and Penguin and stuff. But we somehow still talked about all sorts of
Oh, I
stuff. It
thought
was
it
a
was
good time.
awesome. I thought it was awesome,
Yeah.
and I thought that that we're not gonna how 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 much can we engage, because there's so many people on that podcast already. How much can we engage? But I felt welcome, and B, it was probably a small blessing that half the team weren't couldn't make it that day, so that we could really get into the weeds on quite a few things. It was good, really, really good fun, and they were consummate hosts. So thank you, Iraj and the team. Thank you very much.
I do hope we get invited back at some time when everybody's there, because I'm still holding on to all of my jokes about being on Hollywood Squares. Like, I was going to go in, I told Madison I was going to go in and be like, I'm just going to pretend like I'm on the game show the entire time. Like, I'm going to
Yeah,
pretend anytime somebody asks me a question, I'm going to pretend like I'm a game show contestant and then like I'm responding to the host
yeah,
on Hollywood Squares and just be like, I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah,
excited.
yeah.
I'm hoping to take home the prize today. But maybe next time. So we'll see. But yeah, anyways.
Good, good fun. What else have you been up to in the
Oh,
in
dude, it's been
the? Hang on, hang on. I'm trying to think. because I can't remember, because it was I had to get up at 3 a.m. to speak to them. So it was yeah, no, it was my Friday. So it was your Thursday. So we haven't spoken for a week, for a week from now. We haven't recorded our own pod for well over a week, for nearly 10 days. So what have you been up to, mate?
Dude, it's been a crazy 10 days. It feels like it's been a month and a half. So I don't remember what I did that Friday. I probably worked, maybe something like that. But then after that, I did for 4 days, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I was kind of off the grid a little bit. And I spent those days building a stone staircase. Yeah, didn't see that one coming.
Whoa.
Yeah. Uh, I won't bore everybody with the details, but it's more of that kind of trail crew stuff. But this was like a larger project. The PCT is Mexico to Canada. It's supposed to be graded for horses, and there's a section close to us where it's kind of a granite slab that's hard, that's kind of angled, so it's really tricky for horses to go down, and they can twist their ankles, and people twist their ankles, and all sorts of stuff. So there's a project to build, to go in and using natural materials in the area to build a stone staircase at grade. So I was like, cool, I've never got to do that. I'd love to learn. how to move 2-ton rocks around uh, and build a staircase. So I did that. And it was hot and it was hard, but it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot. It broke me physically. I think by the end, just getting up early every day and going out there and doing it and doing that work all day long. Uh, like by the end, I think my immune system is just completely gone. Um,
Yeah.
like it took like 2-3 days to just finally kind of be like going to bed at 8 o'clock at night and getting up at 6 a.m. and like just being like, it's just not enough sleep on my body. It's not ready. But no, I did that. It was
That is
fun. I'm glad
very,
I did it.
very cool. That's really, really cool, man. I'm really, really impressed. I know we talked a couple of weeks a couple of weeks back about what would our alternate role job be, or what would our, when we were in a position to retire, what would be our ideal.
Barista fire.
Well, I was about to say, you could be, when you're ready to retire, you could be a perfect woodsman or outdoorsman, or I don't know what you call them over in the States, but a real Bear
Yeah,
Grylls.
yeah. I do. It is kind of inspiring a little bit because there are a lot of like older retirees out there. And like I think one of the reasons I kind of keep going back to it is like seeing them, like guys out there in their 80s just still doing it. Like
Mm,
still being active, being mobile. It's like, dude, that's what I want. I don't want to be like 60, 70 and just like unable to get out of bed. Like I'm sure they have aches and
existing.
pains and stuff, but like, yeah,
Yeah.
just
But
so
existing.
sick.
No, I'm you and I are the same there. I'd need to remain active in some way or another. Maybe not as physically
Yeah.
active as you, but certainly active in one way or
Well,
another.
I think the other part of it too is like it's just like I don't like the multi-week backpacking trips as much, but I do like being outside and like this has given me something to do. And I think it's
That's
also
very
like
cool.
there's an element of I've needed to disconnect, I think, for a while. Like I know we talked about this a little bit before starting the pod of just there's times where you just need to get away and like I just need to get off the internet. I need to move, just do something else. And I think this has been a good constructive thing because there's no service out where I was. And
No.
so it's just like the only thing that matters is moving rocks and making sure nobody gets hurt. Uh,
Yep.
at the end of the day, because we're all volunteers, we're not getting paid. I mean, there's one guy that's his job, but like none of it matters. It's not like, oh, hey, no breaks, get to work. It's like, no, it's just, it's like the only thing that matters is just we all go home at the end of the day. And the best part is the guy who was leading it brought fresh watermelon at the end of every day. Like he just pull it out of his truck out of the
Oh.
cooler, be like, it's like, dude, you keep bringing this, I'll be here every day. Like there's nothing like fresh watermelon like that all day. But yeah, I did that. That's what I was doing. So I've been recovering from that of just slowly kind of coming back to reality of like because it's also high elevation, hot. It's just long days. It's been wild. Um, but I've also I also caught up on a bunch of shows, but we'll talk about that later. But besides that, man, like that's been like the core of my existence the last 10 days. It was doing that and then kind of just coming back from it and getting back into the rhythm of things.
It's a lot.
Uh,
It's a lot, man. It's really a lot.
it's been wild. What about you? I know that you've got some adventures that you've been.
Yeah, it's been a week. It's definitely been a week. I'll leave the first to last actually because that's the fun part. But since Monday, I've been working in Paris until last night. So we had a as part of this, this whole work deadline thing. Only 21 days away and counting. Um, we had to have a bit of a come by our moment or two. A meeting of minds with a few folks from work, and quite frankly, a Teams call just wasn't going to cut it. So we got together and worked our asses off at work for solid 4 days, eight in the morning to late at night. I know I sent you some photographs of Paris and the surrounding area, which looks and sounds a lot more exotic than the reality of what was actually what we were there for and going
Yeah.
on. And that was good, and we got a lot done, a lot done in a I guess considerably short amount of time. Um, had the chance one or two nights, one in particular. of enjoying the sights and sounds of Paris. My boss was there as well, who's a Parisian, just by chance, and he got us into a restaurant that literally has the most amazing view of the Eiffel Tower and serves
Nice.
the most amazing food. And in fact, I have. I mean, I love Paris anyway. It's where Lucy. It's Lucy and my preferred place in the world. If you were to pinpoint one single place where we it's our place as a couple, and it's definitely Paris,
Yeah.
especially around the old part of Montmartre and the Sacré Coeur, which is basically the old bohemian artist area of Paris. But we were in downtown Paris, and yeah, like I said, we went to this restaurant, really, really good food, and during that meal, I tried cuttlefish for the first time. Despite
Ooh.
my age, I'd never tried cuttlefish before. And I'm, having been brought up by the sea, I'm very familiar with an awful lot of fish, but I'd never ever tried cuttlefish. And I really, really enjoy it.
And
It's
nice.
really nice, really, really nice, very meaty. Reminds me a little. It's like a denser version of, what am I thinking of? Monkfish. So it's like a
Mm.
denser version of monk. I mean, monkfish in itself is already very, very meaty. But it's like a denser version of that, smaller in terms of, but in terms of the size of the piece of meat that you get, but significantly denser. And so you kind of get armed with. I wouldn't say it's quite a steak knife, but it's pretty. It's close to a steak knife to get through this. And it was cooked to perfection in that your knife went through it like butter. It was absolutely fantastic. And of course, with an awful lot of Parisian cooking, you get some amazing vegetables and some amazing seasoning, etc., etc. It was just phenomenal, really, really good. The previous day wasn't so much fun for me. My boss took us to a Parisian restaurant that specialized in a lot of rural cooking. So a lot of, I mean, he used the word peasant, but it's kind of traditional
Yeah.
cooking.
Yeah.
His command of the English language isn't brilliant, so I probably wouldn't have used the word peasant myself, but it was very, should we say, basic cooking. And he
Yeah.
introduced me to he basically introduced me to a type of sausage, and he said, just ignore the smell, because it smells of piss. And he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. It did smell of piss. The rest he was going to leave for me to make my own mind up. And I have to say, while the sausage smelt of piss, it tasted like shit. It was probably one of the most disgusting things I've ever tasted in my life, and I feel as if he set me up on purpose. In fact,
I'm about to say,
in hindsight,
I think he does not like you.
yeah, no. The thing is, though, we're pretty good buddies as well, which is the reason why he probably knew exactly. We tend to wind each other up quite a bit. So yeah, it was disgusting, and I found out that essentially it was a sausage that was made out of the arse of pigs. So I literally was eating an ass sausage, which of course became the running joke for the rest of the trip. But
Is it
it
just
was good.
intestines, but they just don't clean them out and they just tie the ends up and they're like, here you go. This
I
is the
think so.
sausage.
I think it pretty much was. I mean, who cares about hygiene or the occasional nibble on a piece of shit. But yeah, no, it wasn't very nice at all. And yeah, I was the butt of many jokes for the following days thereafter, which was all good fun and games, really. So flew back last night. So I haven't
and
had
that
a
was
lot.
our just grilling segment with Andy.
And yeah, so, so our sausages, 2 thumbs down from Andy. But yeah, apart from that, so that was that. We've already mentioned the syphilis, obviously. Last weekend, though, I had the pleasure of hooking up with the UK contingent of the Scruffy Looking Podcasters.
Nice.
So, yeah, we met halfway. So, in other words, it was an hour north for me, an hour south for them. And we went to one of their antique toy fairs, or their toy fairs that they go to. And in fact, we originally bonded on that, and we seem to be going to a lot. We go to a lot these days. And the idea was that we were going to hook up, do the antique fair or do the toy fair, get some goodies, pick up some bargains. I mean, they're a lot more prolific with these, or a lot more active with these things than I am. I was just literally going in to follow them around the place in awe of what they were buying, and maybe pick up a few niceties for myself as well. But and then the plan was that we were going to go and watch the Empire Strikes Back in a local cinema that was literally a stone's throw away from the exhibition centre. Now, again, I'll start from the end backwards. So we gave up on Empire. We did 8 hours solid of the toy fair.
Holy crap.
Of which was on our feet for 8 hours. We then went for some dinner in the early evening. We went for some dinner and ate our body weight in pizza. And by the time that was over, we still had 2 hours or so until Empire was gonna air. And then, of course, after Empire, got to find our way back to the cars. And then we've both got, all of us have got an hour's journey home again. So everyone was pretty much skirting around the subject. It's like, oh, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing Empire. But slowly but surely, while we were waiting or trying to find reasons to keep ourselves busy, on a Sunday, so most places are closed, to keep ourselves occupied for 2 hours, pretty much in the end, Chris was the one that jumped in and suggested, should we knock it on the head, guys? And it's like, yeah, thank God you suggested it, because quite frankly, there's no way I'd probably see Luke but get attacked by the Wampa, and then at that point just fall asleep and miss the rest of it, which is a waste of money for everyone. And then slowly but surely, Kev as well, plus a couple of the friends that they were with as well, kind of all said, yeah, let's not do that. Let's call it a day. We've kind of I mean, we started, actually no, we didn't start. They started at 7:45 in the morning. They were there for 7:45 in the morning. I was a little bit later because the dog's been poorly. We've had problems with the dog, so I was a little bit later than those guys. But pretty much, they'd been there since 7:45 in the morning to queue so they could be let in early doors for 8:00. So the event doesn't actually start until 10, but they go out of their way to go a little bit earlier because, of course, all the good stuff goes. And typically, we learnt the hard way. When we walked in, when we got there early, or so what we perceived as being early, being the opening time of 10:00, you'd already see people coming out with all the good stuff because, of course, they'd paid for early doors. So we did that this time, and Chris and Kev were already hammering it when I got there, and got themselves quite a few bargains. So yeah, it was good fun. Good fun had by all. I can't explain it. All I'd have to suggest is that when you do make it over here, we'll have to time it that one of these events is on. It's done. It's like MCM Comic Con in that it's like a regular event that happens in different venues across the UK. It's one organizer, but it's the biggest toy fair in Europe. So there's nothing bigger. Nice. There is nothing bigger, and it's a bizarre event in that you've got unlike a Comic Con, which is pretty much should we say very corporate, very branded in places. Plus you've got the market. You've got the market area or the marketplace with a bunch of small vendors, but it's pretty much what you're going to get there. This is bizarre, and it goes from, should we say, it goes from stands that are selling scale models, you'd love it, to vintage Hornby Railway and steam powered toys to rare Japanese um, vintage, those aluminium or those stainless steel robots,
Yeah.
the wind up robots. Little bit of modern stuff, not a lot of modern stuff. I'll be honest with you. A little bit of modern stuff, and then of course all the kaiju stuff and all the stuff that Chris and is really fired up on. Oh, and an awful lot of the vintage horror stuff, like Hammer horror stuff. Hence the reason why Kev's interested as well. A lot of vinyl there, especially around when it comes down to film and TV scores. A lot of retro vinyl there. It's just it's huge. It's absolutely huge. What did I can't even remember what the boys got. A lot. That's all I can say is a lot. And there's quite a few. I don't want to ruin it because I'm hoping that they'll record soon and tell their followers, who hopefully follow us as well, what they bought. But Kev in particular, I thought bought some pretty rad stuff, which I thought was cool. What I bought, I'm very, very proud about. I'll show you in order. And again, a lot of it is tat. So I bought a little. He's my guy. I got a little Chewy statuette, which basically was a Disney Parks multi-pack of statuettes of statuettes from The Force Awakens, I think it is, or The Last Jedi. And what the guy's done is he's broken them up and selling them individually more expensive than they would be if you'd bought the entire pack and divided it by the number of figures you've got. But I didn't want anyone else but Chewbacca, so I bought that.
Want to hear a hot take? I think more places should do that because I don't want all of them. I want one of them.
Yeah.
Specifically Lego minifigures. It's like I don't want to buy the whole damn set. I want to buy one.
Well, a couple of the stalls that are there do exactly that. They sell individual minifigures, and I mean, obviously they charge a premium for them because of what they've done in order to get them. But yeah, there's a lot of places like that. There's a big Lego contingency there. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can move my light.
It's like Zeb almost from where you're at.
Well, funny you should say that because it's the prototype. I never had him. It's the prototype Chewbacca.
Prototype chip.
Yeah,
nice.
it's the Ralph McQuarrie take on Chewie. Now he never really interested me, but I accidentally dropped the package on the floor and pretended that I didn't, and then told the guy that was selling it that it was damaged and I'd offer him half the price, and I got away with it. So I actually bought him, but he was my opener. He was my opener for two reasons. One was I'd already damaged the packaging, and of course, out of tradition, I need to open something I need to open something or demolish it in front of Kev during dinner. Oh yeah. No, and it's become quite a tradition these days. In that,
I thought he gave you an ultimatum. I thought he said like no more of that shit.
No. He bought me a Chewbacca candle for my birthday, and he said if I see this being opened, that's it. We can't be friends anymore. But no, he was expecting me to. I think halfway through the day, he said, "Have you got anything yet that you're going to make my skin crawl with?" And it just so happened to be that I did. So we went out for dinner, as I said, and that got demolished in front of him. And it's not only the sight of it, but it's the noise of packaging ripping that sends him up the wall. It's like nails on a chalkboard, you know. It's
not just opening it, but it's making sure the card back gets ripped in half.
Oh, dude, you wouldn't
really
believe.
Just take the clamshell plastic packaging and be like, I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to cut it just straight through the middle.
All I have to do is twist that bubble, and he goes off on one. It's cruel, but it's highly entertaining. It really is. So that was that. With this is what I was trying to show you earlier on. With my Macquarie concept Wookiee, I got a coin with it as well, which I think it was out of tiredness more than anywhere else. I tried to pass off as genuine currency with one or two folk, and they were having none of it at all. So that was a bit disappointing. And then lastly, but not least, is my most favorite thing Actually, no. Before I do that, while we were there as well, Chris had something for me. So that here we have. I think it's Burger King or it might be McDonald's. I'm not sure yet. But here we have a bobblehead Chewie head that's
Yeah.
attached to a Millennium Falcon, and if I push him along the floor, there are these circular discs or darts that fire out the front. Really good value, really good fun. But that's from Christine. That's from Christine over in Texas. She sent that over to Chris to give to me. So thank you, Christine. If you listen, if you ever do listen, I hope you do. But if you're listening, thank you for that. That was awesome. But the master, I'm going to have to go a little bit distant on the on my microphone while I get it because I'm trying to look after it. Talk amongst yourselves, folks. I'll literally be 30 seconds. But my favourite thing that
He
I
said, "Talk
bought.
amongst yourselves," but he's still talking.
Well, I'm trying to keep that goddamn. My favourite thing that I bought was a bootleg, and a little bit of a story behind this. So, as you know, I've got into bootlegs, and in fact, I blame Chris Hall for me getting into bootlegs because he was with me when I bought my first bootlegs, and I haven't stopped ever since. Anyway, he told me a story about this guy that he knows that was doing his own bootlegs in the UK, and showed me a few pictures. And I've always really liked what he's doing because it's a nice take on the whole toy thing. And he runs a business called FT Loot. It's literally FT Loot, and it stands for the love of old toys. And he's created this, which is basically, again, I hope you can see this. I'll send you some photographs actually, so we can stick it on the site.
Yeah, you should send me photos of all that stuff.
Yeah. And it's number 2 out of 20. So he's only made 20 out of these. And just to describe it, it's a Chewbacca. It's black and white, so it's monochromatic. It's all in black and white, and it's basically a take on the original Chewbacca vintage Kenner Chewbacca toy, but he's a zombie. It's a zombie instead, and he's got another couple of lines. He's got a Vader, he's got a Luke, he's got an Obi-Wan, he's got a Wicket and a Yoda as well, all of which are on the back page. And he's basically made these lines of zombie Star Wars characters, and I bought it. The guy tried to offer me a discount because I was a friend of Chris's, and obviously he knows Chris. But I didn't. I said no because that feels like. I mean, he's trying to make money out of this, and if it was somebody else, but a mate of Chris's, I probably would have said, yeah, I'll take the discount. But no, I paid him full whack for this, and I'm really happy with it. Like I said, it's number 2 of 20. But, and Chris is a bugger like this, he really is. Have a look at the name of the artist of the actual card itself. Can you see that?
So the artist,
it's Chris Hall. So Chris, this isn't Chris's business, by the way. This is not Chris's, but Chris was commissioned to do the artwork for this guy. So this guy that he knows, who runs this toy company, FT Loot, he owns his own business. He does the sculpting. He does the moldings. He then does the painting, which is immaculate, and the dry brushing is amazing. Not only to create the skeletal face to this Wookiee, but also to kind of the dry brushing effect on it to kind of make it really stand out. Again, the actual figure itself is black and white as well. But he commissioned Chris to do the actual card backs, the card back art. And I've got to say, it looks amazing. I think it looks absolutely amazing. Just don't tell Chris I said that. But yeah, no, that was my biggest takeaway from that trip, and I'm very happy with my purchase. I'm going to try and find one. Sorry, go on.
How much do you think it costs for us to get a limited run made of me and you as Shin and Balin?
I don't.
3 3/4 inch action figures.
I don't know, man. I mean, you can.
I think the answer is a lot of money.
Well, no. I would say a run is probably a lot of money, but I say a prototype is probably affordable. A prototype is affordable. There's some stuff that Chris. I mean, Chris. It's not a secret because he's mentioned it on his own pod. But Chris is working on some stuff at the moment, and some of the prototypes that him and his partner in that venture are looking at are doing is some really cool stuff. So I would say I think a prototype would be all right, but yeah, a limited run. Good God, that's going to be ridiculous.
It's like,
Absolutely
Madison,
ridiculous.
can I have a business loan, please? I'd like to.
Yeah,
I want to make injection molded 3 3/4 inch action figures of me and Andy.
yeah.
What would your okay? So quick sidebar. What would your
Go on.
accessory be? I have to ask.
My
If you had an
accessory.
action figure, yeah. What would your like your weapon or your little, because they would come with an accessory. So like, would it be like a notepad, like a paper itinerary? Would it be that? Like,
No,
would it
it wouldn't
be
be a note. It would be an old tankard, an old beer, a stein, an old stein, and maybe a gaming controller. Although, to your point, a notepad would probably be quite a good thing as well.
paper
Quite a good
itinerary?
thing. Yeah. So that was. Well, hang on a minute. What would yours be?
Well, I do think I'd have to have a companion. I'd have to have one of my cats. I think that would be
Yeah, of course.
would be there. That'd be there. But what would it be? What would my? Wow, I don't know. Damn. It'd be something stupid for sure. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
I just can't think of what stupid thing it would be.
Oh, remind me. Next time the Scruffies record, if they don't talk about it, remind me to tell you what, because it's not my place to say anything. But I also, because this is the first time I've seen Chris for a while, I was able to give him his belated birthday present, and I'm not going to ruin it for Chris because that's his story. You know, that's his story.
Yeah.
But if they don't talk about it next time, remind me to tell you what I bought Chris for his birthday. Because I thought I was quite happy with how it turned out. What was the other thing? The last thing from that trip was that both of them have agreed to, because I find those toy fairs so intriguing, quite unique to other things I've, to cons, to certainly to Celebration. You couldn't get more opposite than that. I've asked him at some point, would they mind coming on the pod and talking about A, their collecting, but B, like the mystery or the magic of these toy fairs that we go to, because I could talk about them a lot, but I'm still relatively inexperienced as to what I'm looking at, and B, what's a good buy. So and they've agreed to it, which I think is great. I mean,
the hunt and the haggle is what
exactly,
I call that.
exactly, and they're very, very good at it as well, and they know exactly what they're doing. So yeah, they've agreed to do that in a future date, which is nice to have that in the pipe. Apart from that, mate,
I love the hunt, but the haggle makes me want to crawl under a rock and die.
Yeah,
that's the world I live in.
Yeah, when you start resorting to throwing something on the floor to try and get it at a cheaper price, that's just shouts of desperation. Anyway,
I'll pay you extra if you don't talk to me. Can I do that?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was that. So a lot to fit into a week, quite frankly, and some good times. So, but I'm glad I'm back now, and there's a reason why I'm glad I'm back, and I'll talk to you about that when we talk about what we've been consuming, because I've got a lot to do this weekend, and it's not all work in the garden.
So I have a question for you. I have a question.
Yeah.
You were talking about the Christine Burger King Chewbacca.
Yeah.
And
I think big old head. King.
So there's two things. I know I always sit there and try. It sounds like I toot my own horn when I'm like, I'm not a collector. I don't get obsessed with collecting everything. Blah blah blah. My name's Sean. But there is one instance that I can think of where I did go down that rabbit hole in my past. where I'm like, I got it stuck in my head where I'm like, I need to get every single one of these. And that was, I believe it was, I know it was Burger King. It was the Burger King Happy Meal toys. And I believe it was for the Revenge of the Sith. Because I was in high school and I had friends who worked at Burger King. And I remember I needed to get every single one of those stupid toys. And I think it's the only time in my life where I have collected everything for a specific line. I'm like, I had every single one of them. Like, I would go to Burger King after school and be like, "What are your Happy Meal toys?" Like, I could see them. I could see them in the bin. Luckily, I had some friends who worked there too. And
So it wasn't even a range. It was just everything that they did. It wasn't for a particular film or anything. It was.
it was for Revenge of the Sith. They had like I think
Oh,
they had like
sorry.
30 of them. They had like 30
Oh,
toys,
got
but
it.
you could only get them if you bought a Happy Meal, and they
Right.
wouldn't. Unless you had somebody who worked there, they wouldn't swap them out, but they didn't have 30 at all times. They were sent in like random groups of like 3 or 4. And so I would go in there for I don't even know how long it took me. It took me forever, and it was the biggest waste of money. But I remember when I finally got done with it, because I remember there was like, oh, we don't have those. The one across town has it, so I'd go there and like
Mm.
try to get them. But it's like I do understand this like sense of accomplishment, because like I do sit there and think like I still have most of them. And I was gonna ask you, it's like, do you have this Chewbacca there? Do you have him?
No.
Well, I have multiple of him, so you can have little Burger King, tiny weird looking potato nugget head Chewbacca, because he comes from
but
that line, because you were
but
talking
this
about it.
stuff. But you say it's a waste of money. Weirdly, stuff like
The food was the
this.
waste of money.
Oh yeah. No. I appreciate that, but weirdly, that kind of stuff on the secondary market is actually worth more than the Kenner shit. It's really
Oh
weird.
yeah. Well, and that's what's funny is people were even collecting them at the time and keeping them in the bags. Because I remember, because I know people who did that. My grandma was doing that with like McDonald's Happy Meal toys, and like we're keeping them in the bags. They're like, oh, these are gonna be worth money one day. And it's like, yeah, there's a billion of them. But now it's funny that it has come full circle,
Mm.
and it's like, oh yeah, if you have those still in the bag, which I hate at all. I'm like, no, I want to get it out, and I want to
Yeah.
touch it, feel. I want to look through the thing and see the scene inside the ship or whatever, because they all did different things. Like there was like some of them were plushy like this. Some of them had like a ship, or like an open component, like haunted carbonite heat opened up. Some of them you could like look in. It's like a little viewfinder. But yeah, like I look back on that, I'm like, oh dude, every time I see those like Burger King toys or something like that, I'm like, oh yeah. I remember like losing a significant amount of time and money in my life, but this sense of satisfaction that came from that was
Yeah, hell yeah.
pretty high. But yeah, so yeah, I just thought I'd share that little nugget
No,
of
nice.
history.
Nice. Um so yeah, that was my week. It squeezed a lot into 7 days. News. I've got a fair bit actually. What about yourself?
I only have a couple things. So a couple of them that aren't fully news. One of them is Madison. Madison came home from her conference, and she brought us some stickers. It's just like it's a little microphone with a face on it. Because
Nice.
so, and then there's a little mixing board, like a little kawaii mixing board. So it looks like for
Nice.
podcasting stuff. Because there was some vendor there that was like, oh, podcasting and teleconferencing stuff. Here's some cute stickers. So she grabbed some of us for those. Some of those for us. Next, there's a couple minor news items. So if you're going to Star Wars Celebration, they spontaneously dropped that the hotel reservation blocks were available with no warning. To which I dropped everything I was doing at that time. I don't remember when it was, but I remember dropping everything that I was doing, running in and trying to get a hotel block, even though we've previously set up accommodations not through Star Wars Celebration, only to be quickly disappointed that like they're doing it differently this year, where they've kind of cut a couple different providers or kind of coordinating partners. And so there were 4 hotels that were available, but the closest one was like 7 miles away from the convention center. Like
That's
one of them, I think
bullshit.
was like 21 miles away. It's like, it's kind of, oh, what? Like, what are you gonna do? Ride the train for like 9 hours to get to the convention
Mm.
center every morning? Like, it was insane. So I was just like, what the hell? And then it said on the website, like, oh, they're gonna keep releasing more, like coming soon. Like, I think as more of their partners and stuff open up, because as previously mentioned, uh, I've been in pretty constant communication with some of the hotels that are close to the convention, and they're like, yes, we have blocks reserved. They're going to be coming online. We don't know when, yada yada yada. So I did not book anything through that hotel block. Um, Waiting for the next, and it says they also have like Disney hotels will be coming online soon. I believe this is my Sean cynicism here. I don't believe that the Disney hotels are going to be included in the blocks, like the discounted blocks.
No.
I think they are just going to open those up with a link to their reservation portal around the same time as like they normally become available for
Well,
that
why
time.
wouldn't you? Well, I mean, it's good. It's good business practice. At the end of the day, if you can get a family over to Japan on a family holiday, the convention's only 3 days. You know, it's
But
it's
it's what's funny about that is like it's not easy to get hotels for through
yeah,
Disney hotels for Tokyo Disney. Like, and especially around that time, it is going to be insanely competitive because there's going to be a
yeah.
lot of people traveling and there's going to be a lot of people who want to go. So the fact that they're kind of like, oh, click here for more information. It's like, click here for more information. You need to be reading on how to get them because that stuff comes online at like 3 in the morning my
Yeah,
time,
and
and they're
that
gone.
and that,
They are gone at 3:02.
and they're gonna, you know, they're going to charge a premium for them as well. So yeah, it's a bummer, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. All that to say, we are going to be doing our Road to Celebration series starting soon. I keep kicking the can on it because I want some like more information to come out. Like we're rapidly approaching 6 months out, and so I'm hoping now that we've got hotels, there's like a couple guests announced. Like maybe things will start ramping up a little bit here soon, and we can start getting some guests on to talk about past experiences,
Yeah.
tips and tricks, yada yada yada. But I've been trying to kick the can on it because of hotel stuff. But now I think I've kind of calmed down quite a bit of like, now we do have somewhere to stay. It's not where I want, it's not the room and stuff that I want, but we have it. It's it's seemingly locked in. And like I think all of our friends have places that they've got locked into. And so it's like, you know what, I don't need to
The only
be like,
thing,
"Ugh."
I mean, I don't really care where I sleep because yeah, at the end of the day, you know, like to your point, we've got in somewhere and it's not the best of hotels, but it's relatively expensive. And I was under the impression that the block hotels are going to be a little bit cheaper. Is that right?
They have a discount. So our hotel is nice. It's just that the only ones that they had freely available that aren't pre-reserved for the future blocks, it's like the most basic rooms.
Yeah,
It's
it's fine.
it's the rooms for like one or two
Well,
people
I
and
hope.
teeny tiny beds and
Well,
yada yada yada.
well, I hope that's the. I hope it's their most basic of pricing. Then, in that case,
So we'll see. We'll see. Then so
okay, man.
at the end of the day, we have something, so we don't have to sleep on the ground outside.
No,
Um,
no, no, no.
so
Exactly, exactly. I need to get my ass into gear now and start thinking about flights as well because
I've
I
said that
really have
too.
put that
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
I know. I remember you and I both spoke. We're like, we're going to book something at the end of September, and now we're in the beginning of October, and it's like,
yeah.
we should really get on booking those flights. Then again, I have to book flights for a trip I'm going on next weekend that we still haven't bought flights for, or the one we're
Ah,
going on at the end of the month. So it's like
ah.
I need to get my general shit together and like do all of it. Maybe that'll be this weekend because I don't think we have anything else going on. So maybe we just
Probably a good idea. Probably a good
probably
idea.
just book a bunch of flights and be sad about how much it costs.
Yeah.
But anyways, Star Wars Celebration hotels came out. If you didn't get one, don't be sad. More are coming. Blah blah blah. Next in the news,
And I'm sorry, and just to round that out, to kind of echo what you just said, and just to round out that part of the conversation. Yeah, getting some buddies on soon would be good. I mean, I've already spoken
yeah,
to one or two of the guys, or one or two of the folks, sorry, and yeah, they're up for joining. So to start talking about what we can expect and a little bit of speculation of what they may announce. So yeah, it'll be good. Good to have them on soon.
Nice. Next, everybody probably already knows this. Everybody knows my stance on just regurgitating news that most people already know about. There's a John Williams documentary, Disney Plus. I haven't watched it. I plan to at some point. It's not high on the list. It's not going anywhere, but it looks cool.
I don't think it's out. I don't think it's out yet. Is it? Is it? I thought this is end of the month, isn't it?
I did keep seeing stuff on it, so I assumed it was out, but it's coming soon, if not out already.
1st November.
1st November. So it's coming soon.
Yeah.
I always get nervous when they release that kind of stuff. It's like, what do you know? What do you know? Like, because it's always like,
oh, don't.
Yeah, it's like
because he's in his 90s now, isn't he?
I mean, he's lived a full, wonderful life,
sure.
and I'm not trying to push him into the grave or anything, but it's always like, I don't like when they do this. Well, it's like, duh, don't. But anyways, not to be morbid. The final thing is another stupid one that I just noticed on the website while trying to dig up news was there's a cool StarWars.com news post about Star Wars Outlaws temporary tattoos that I'm going to have to incorporate into my life at some way, somehow.
Yeah, I quite like them.
I think they're kind of neat. I think I should do it. And then right before we go somewhere and do something, so Madison's like, what is that? And it's like, that is my Star Wars temporary tattoo. Do you like it?
Do I look swanky? Are
what
you proud to be with me?
It's Crimson Dawn. They are my favorite, and I want to represent my syndicate.
Exactly. Anything else, dude?
No, I have no news.
Okay, so I picked up this week again on StarWars.com that they are celebrating 10 years of Rebels, which has made me feel very, very old because in my mind, I know we've had Clone Wars season 6, 7, and Bad Batch since then, but it still feels relatively fresh to me. And I must admit, at the time I was watching it, I kind of was a little bit ambivalent to the whole thing. But in hindsight and rewatching it, and most importantly, watching it in bulk, watching it as one thing as opposed to weekly, it's a good yarn, and we've got some really good characters out of it. You know, you've got
it's so good.
The crew of the Ghost itself. The Ghost itself. I mean, that's a character in its own right now. On a par, maybe not on a par, but certainly getting close to being on a par with the Falcon itself. So I love all that. Other Star Wars news I picked up on was I don't want to spend any time on this.
If I could pause you real quick, I'm going to jump back on that Rebels thing, just to wax poetic about it a little bit. I was always somebody like Rebels. I'm glad to see Rebels is getting more love because I feel like at the time it didn't. I didn't watch Clone Wars when it came out, but you always heard about how great it was, and then I remember blasting through it, and it's like, it's good. Clone Wars is good. I think it's better when you think about it retrospectively than when you're in the middle of watching it, because there is a lot of fluff. There's like 50% of those episodes are take it or leave it for Clone Wars.
Oh, mate, Rebels, the majority of discontent out there is fake nostalgia for something that people thought was that they enjoyed immensely the first time, 10 years ago. I mean, I know what you mean. Yeah, Clone Wars had its duds as well.
And then it's like Rebels was one of those ones when it came out, it's like everybody always complains about that first season and like how
sure.
Oh my God, what's his name?
Ezra.
Ezra. Like Ezra's so annoying, his gun lightsaber, yada. It's like I as somebody who was like, no, I was in on Rebels from the beginning, and it makes me really happy to see how that show, like, it is the epitome of like, give it a chance. Like give it a chance. The first season can be kind of whatever, Rings of Power, Halo, Rebels, a lot of other shows, where season one's kind of like, we're figuring it out. Or it's set up, or yada, yada, yada. And then it gets into season 2 and season 3. And then next thing you know, it's like, I still get goosebumps thinking about the conversation between Sabine and Kanan, like when he's teaching her how to use the lightsaber, and just like the emotion and stuff that came out of that show. And it's like, yes, Rebels was awesome. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, you should genuinely watch it. It was such a good show. And it makes me really, really, really happy to see that it's not taking 20 years, 20 plus years to be like nostalgic about these shows. It's like, no, it was good, and it's not going to be forgotten. Maybe like Resistance and some of the other stuff is like it is meaningful, and like I'm sure it's part of like the Ahsoka like hype and push marketing push, but
Mm.
it's still good to see. I don't know.
No,
Team
I
Rebels
like
all the
it.
way.
Well, it's got its own legacy, hasn't it? Not only in the live action, but in hopefully season 2, hopefully filming next year. So, it's created a legacy, which I don't think Resistance could have done, for example. But anyway, no, all good. The other bit of Star Wars news I picked up on, and I'm not going to spend too much time on it because it's one of those, especially in today's environment or in today's climate when it comes down to announcements. But and certainly awful lot of the way that studios are reacting to fan discord at the moment, and the way that they want to placate fan opinions in their creativity going forward, which I think is a mistake. But anyway, there is word out there. I think it was via Variety that there are planned for multiple seasons of Skeleton Crew. But of course, the caveat to that is if it does well. Well, that's kind of the caveat to any production, I would have thought. But there is a plan for it to be more than one season, which is good to know. I'm happy to
We'll
talk
see.
about it if you want to. I'm not. I'm
No,
not really
I
going
don't
to
care.
pay it much mind at the moment until we get the first load of. I mean, what is it with this? We're already looking ahead before even speculating or even making an opinion or creating an opinion or making a comment about something before we've even had the first frigging season. It's
I know
insane
I
what's
know this
going on at the
is I
moment.
know this comment I'm about to make is kind of ironic
Mm,
because I'm a pod we do a podcast together. But it's just like we live in a world where like all space is filled with commentary. It's like we can't just be happy with what we have. Like you just gotta it's like the
mm,
ESPNification of everyday life. It's like we have
mm.
nothing to talk about, so we're just gonna just talk. We're gonna talk to fill the air. It's like, well, what about a season 2 for Skeleton Crew? Yada yada yada. It's like, can we just not? Can we just talk about like
Yeah,
how cool the blue elephant is and like
yeah,
whatever else? Like, do we have to find controversy and like talk about the actors' like personal lives and worry and then be like, well, what's the future gonna hold? It's like, why don't we just get excited about the artwork and like
yeah,
the fact that we're getting something? Like, can we go back to simpler times? Uh,
yeah.
like be happy with like whatever.
Moving on. RoboCop TV show in production for Prime TV. Okay,
All right,
I'll watch it. I didn't particularly warm to the reboot.
remake.
Um,
Yeah,
well, yeah, the reboot of the original Alex Murphy story. What in the was it 2010, 2011? I can't remember now. Anyway, point being, I didn't warm to it. It was all right. It was a good film. It wasn't for me, RoboCop, but yeah, okay. Let's see. I don't know anything about it apart from RoboCop TV in development. Great.
there's no. I look forward to seeing everybody pissed on the internet because there's no way you can make that show without it being political. Cool.
Yeah,
Looking forward to
yeah,
people being
exactly.
pissed off on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way you can make OCB, it's OCP, sorry, anything other than the greedy corporation it was meant to be. Anyway, and then lastly, and I honestly wrote 2 names down at the beginning of this week, and then I've added another 3. So we've lost a lot of creative genius this last week. Dame Maggie Smith, John Ashton, Chris Christopherson, John Amos. Oh, John Amos, what a man. And all of which were prolific actors and obviously musicians, with Chris, who was also a great actor. God, I'll never forget Convoy. That was an influential film when I was a kid. And also creators with Robert Watts. So Robert Watts was second unit. I think he was second unit director and also kind of um, principal concept designer for George Lucas, certainly on Raiders, certainly on New Hope, and he filmed, like I said, an awful lot of the second unit location shooting for Tatooine. So that's been quite a sad thing, a very very sad thing. Um, yeah, it was losing Maggie Smith in the first place was a bit of a downer. It's quite a downer actually because she's such a bit of a national treasure over here and had a wicked sense of humor, absolutely wicked sense of humor. Quite ironic and quite critical lady, and everyone's favorite grandmother. So yeah, that was a bummer. But then to have these other names, literally almost day after day, these other really really big names fall by the wayside as well was quite a kidney punch. So anyway, on more so RIP, lots of commiseration and love to their friends and families. On a more positive note, in your busy week of stonemasonry, have you been able to consume anything? Have you been watching, reading, listening, or playing anything this week?
So I'll start. So yes, the answer is yes. I
Yes.
have I've consumed a lot. Um, I will start out with kind of talking. Okay, I'll lay some options out on the table, and we can talk about. Because I have a feeling we're going to talk about a couple of them. Um,
Hmm.
here's what I've done. I have I have some thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws. There's my gaming.
Cool.
In terms of television and movies, I have watched and completed Rings of Power.
Hmm.
I have watched all 4 episodes of Agatha All Along.
Oh
I
wow.
have watched both episodes of The Penguin, and yesterday I went to go see Megalopolis. So those are what I have seen and watched and played,
Whoa.
and I am ready to talk about all of them or none of them.
Right, let me get so I have not seen a lot this week for obvious reasons. The only thing I did watch when I got back from before I flew out to when I got back on Sunday night from seeing the boys, and before I flew out to Paris was with Lucy. I watched Wolves, which is the film with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. So they're reunited, and it's a good film. It's a good film. It's not amazing. It's kind of cookie cutter. It takes a lot of reminds me a little bit like how can I put it? A little bit like Midnight Run and Ocean's 11, I guess. Um, in 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 a film, it's very formulaic, but it's a good yarn because of those two, and they can act. They can act, and secondly, they can act really well when they're playing against each other. So that was good. Um, and the only other thing I watched was Rings of Power. However, I did get to a certain point over that weekend on Outlaws, and it's the only thing I'm going to say on Outlaws, and then I'm done. So if you're right if we cover Outlaws first.
Yeah, dude, I'm fine talking about any of them whenever you
Okay,
want.
so Outlaws, I've now got to the end game. So I'm now on the final mission. I've actually got to the point where, I mean, there's still a boatload of side missions that I've kind of, because I haven't had the time to invest in the end game. I've kind of just done a bunch of side missions on the side because well, two reasons. I've only had an hour of time to have a go on it. And so I can't commit to the end game at the moment. But there's also a certain amount of that reservation or anxiety about, am I ready? Am I ready? Can I do this? Can I do this? I've got to get this right. But I'm at a point now where in the story mode, I have got to I've got to say I'm ready because I'm at that point where it's like, are you ready now, or do you still need to do some stuff? And I am ready now, and I am going to go for it because I understand that you can go back and do the stuff you haven't done after at the end of the story. So I've got that this weekend. And that's exciting. apparently I should have got there within about 25 hours. Now I've actually got to that moment after playing now just over 50 hours. So I have been doing quite a bit on the side as well, probably more so than I thought actually. And that's it, mate. That's it. That's it from me. Apart from Rings of Power, talk to me about Outlaws. What your thoughts are?
So so this is kind of a follow-up on some of my previous Outlaws comments about, like, not being able to get into it, and, like, it's not a criticism of the game. I think it's more because I've heard other people say similar things, and I've heard other people being like, "It's fantastic," like, and I know you're kind of vibing with it. It's like, I've had trouble sitting down and playing it, and it's not a criticism of the game. I wanna make that very clear. I think it's just it's been hard to sit down and make the time, and I recognize that, and I've I think I've kinda come full circle with it because I know at the beginning I was like, "No, no, like, I'm excited for this game," and I am, and it's like, I think I've stopped trying to push myself to force myself to sit down to, like, play it and feel like I'm not getting the story, like, not getting out of it what I want out of it. Like, it has been rough, and everybody's like, "Oh, once you get past a certain point, it really starts picking up and being fun." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I was framing it in a way of like, oh, the game is just not in catching me, but it really it's just me, uh, and like where I'm at the moment." So I'm continuing to play it. I'm still struggling to kind of like put the muscle in, but I am enjoying it. It's just I think it's just where I'm at right now. It's been hard to kind of get hooked.
That's all right, man.
It's not, yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at with it. And so I don't want people to be like, "Oh, another person says the game's not good." It's like, no, the game's fantastic. It is beautiful. Like I am upgrading stuff, and it's like, oh, the speeder does get more fun. Like there are goofy controls on certain things. Like I am enjoying the slow burn mission of it. Like I think I'm also kind of in a more relaxed place too because it has been out for a couple weeks and there hasn't been just like overblown crazy spoilers like that would have come out of like the Survivor series, like the Jedi games.
Yeah,
Where it's like you if you find out how that ends, it's like, well, that kind of is a big old wrench in what I'm doing, and I probably would stop
yeah.
playing. But nothing like that's come out for this, so I'm kind of like more relaxed with my gameplay. Be like, all right. So if nothing's come out yet, and plus I'm not really on social media as much as before, so maybe it's not that big a deal. But I am continuing to play. Um, I try to put a little bit of time in every night, and maybe it'll pick up. Maybe
Oh,
it won't.
mate,
I don't know. We'll see. But I am
mate.
enjoying
I
it.
was going to say it's not a must do. It's you know my story around Survivor. I didn't finish it. I lost my. I mean, it's a phenomenal game, but I simply lost my momentum.
Mhm.
It went, and I still to this day I think it's still because I was living vicariously through other people playing it on Twitch. But and you know,
Mhm.
it's cool, man. It's cool, man. Tell me about Agatha. What do you think? Because I haven't started it yet.
It's a good show. Like it is. So I read somewhere that this is like one of the lowest budget like Marvel series so far. Um, and you can tell like like there's a lot of special effects. There's a lot of cool stuff in it. Like it is a goofy, tropey, witchy witch show. Um, like it is what it pretends to be, like what it like is on the surface. They're like, we're a
Yeah,
show about witches doing witchy things and like being stereotypical and all this kind of stuff. And like that. Like there are musical numbers. There are uh all that kind of goofy stuff. I'm enjoying it. It is cool. Like it's interesting to see where it goes. Like because I know like I'm one of those people who's kind of tired of that. Like let's give every villain a sob story, like and make you feel bad for them and justify why they're evil or they're not evil. They're not actually evil. So like I do have that like reservation of just like, bleh. Um, but it's interesting. There's a lot going on. I'm enjoying. It's nothing. I'm like you got to watch every week because you're gonna get spoiled. Maybe by the end, but like it's enjoyable. I'm enjoying it. It's fun. Uh, Catherine Hahn, I'm a huge fan of. Aubrey Plaza, she's I really enjoy what she does. I'm not like
yeah.
an obsessive goon. um, for her or anything, but no, a lot of the other people. There's some interesting like tie-ins to like the rest of the Marvel stuff. Anybody who says like, I know I mentioned this to you like offline because I've
Mm,
heard some people say like, oh, you don't need to watch, you don't need to be caught up on the Marvel stuff to like watch it. Like I
mm.
firmly disagree with that.
Okay.
Because otherwise, like you don't really know what the hell's going, like why we're here, like what we're doing. Like
Hmm.
you need to watch WandaVision. Like that's pretty critical. And I
Okay.
would say even watching the newest Doctor Strange movie, as
Yeah.
goofy as some people think that it like it really kind of explains why we're with these people, what's happening. Uh
Yeah.
because it's not like, hi, I'm with Agatha. Like, first of all, who the hell is Agatha? Two, why have certain things happened? Because I'm starting to like they're starting to tie in more with like some of that surrounding story in some of those conversations. But it is very like I know Eric on Sithless said like at one point, like, oh, there's some kind of like imagery in this that's kind of spooky for Disney Plus. And like there's times where it's like it kind of gives you those like scary movie vibes, like a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Um with some creepiness, but it is all in good fun. Um, at least so
Oh, that's
far.
cool,
Like
man.
it's fun. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that's cool. I will probably binge it. I've heard a
Yeah,
few people now say it's that good, that it's that entertaining, that it's almost kind of like unfair. 'Cause there's not, from what I heard, there's not a lot to speculate about because the story is quite linear, and so
yeah.
it probably would do me a favor if I just binged it in one go. So that's probably what I will do. Similar to, and I also want to finish Outlaws as well. Similar to Penguin. So tell me about Penguin. I've heard, from what I've heard, it's very Sopranos. Is that right?
It is very Sopranos.
Cool.
Like I begrudgingly watched the first episode. I'll be honest. Like like eye rolly in the beginning. I first of all I loved the Batman. I thought it was
Hmm.
too long, but fantastic. I loved every hour of it. Um, and then they just kept coming. The hours just kept coming with that movie, and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Um, I'm on team Robert Pattinson. I've always liked him. I think he's a fantastic actor. If you
Yeah.
don't like Twilight, go go f yourself. I don't care. Uh, but Robert Pattinson rules. Um, this is some of the stuff. Like I'm not a big comic reader and stuff, so I don't know like the timeline stuff. I am curious of like where it falls in the timeline of like that movie and this show. Like I thought, like this isn't a spoiler. I thought this show was going to be like a prequel, like oh before the movie. No, it's like the movie ends and this
Straight after. Yeah. Yeah.
is now. It's like oh shit. I would have assumed Penguin was like the Penguin by this point in time, but it's not. It's um still kind of like the beginnings. It is very Sopranos. Um, was it Colin Farrell? Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
fantastic. Like the fact that they like half the budget had to go to his prosthetics. Um, I was a bit eye rolly when I first started because everybody's like, "Oh my god, this show's so great!" Yada yada yada. And then like I watched the first episode and it's like, yeah, it's a TV show. It's good, but it's not like, oh my
Mm.
god, it's the greatest, most entertaining hour of television I've ever seen. It's like it's stuff that you've seen before. It's stories that you've seen. It's very Sopranos. It's like it is interesting. I am watching. I'm enjoying it a lot. Like I'm very highly rated. But this kind of like out of nowhere belief that a lot of people had of like it is groundbreaking television. It's like it's not. Like it's but like as it gets into the second episode, like I was like, all right, cool. I like how some of the twists and turns are happening. It's like very Sopranos, very Sophia Falcone. Ooh, who done it? Ooh, how do I get out of this? Yada yada yada. Like it's good. I'm enjoying it. It's leaning more into the mob boss kind of stuff and not the fantastical kind of Batman side of things. It's still
Yeah. Yeah.
very
Yeah. It's
like
grounded.
power grabby, very power grabby. Yeah. Um, in I don't. I'm enjoying it. I can't help but like look at people when they're like this is the best show on television. It's like, come
Did
on,
you ever see? Did you
it's 2 episodes.
did you ever see Gotham when it was out?
Yes, I enjoyed that show. It was goofy. It was a goofy show. Um,
Because I was going
like,
to
it
say,
doesn't have go ahead.
no, I was going to say because I did and I enjoyed, or I did for a while anyway. I did enjoy it for a while, and it I enjoyed it for the first couple of seasons because it was grounded. It was a lot more grounded. It's only when everyone started manifesting into their comic book characters that I kind of
Yeah,
lost
yeah.
interest a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
So
I
when
agree 100%.
what's his name? The guy that plays Cal Kestis that ends up being the Joker in Gotham. I've forgotten his name, the actor. Anyway, when you kind of at the end of season 2, I think it is, you kind of get the hint that he is the Joker, but they never say it. They never ever say it, and I quite like that. Is he? Isn't he? Kind of
Mhm.
intrigue that was there, but then in later seasons they got just completely obvious with or blatant with the whole thing, even to the
Yeah,
point where Bruce Wayne, young boy Bruce Wayne, ended up started wearing the costume and stuff. And I thought, nah, I'm not so
yeah,
invested as I was because I liked that original grittiness and groundedness of the first
yeah.
2 seasons as opposed to the latter seasons. So I just wondered if it was anything like that at all. But from what I'm hearing, it's even
It's
more
it's
it's a lot more R rated.
it's more grounded. It's a lot more grounded than
Yeah.
that. It's I mean, it's calling it The Sopranos is kind of like just right on the nose. It's
Mm.
a Sopranos with a modern Matt Reeves Batman skin on top. I will say with Gotham, I did love the actor who played the Penguin. I loved his just obnoxious,
Yeah.
smarmy like, and this isn't that. This is the Matt Reeves kind of Penguin, uh, which is really good. Kind of obnoxious at times, but like he embodies that kind of character uh, really well. And so yeah, it's much more grounded. I think that's a fear I have with this kind of like Matt Reeves universe of like I don't want it to get into that like,
Mm.
oh, I'm the Joker and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm Clayface. Yada, yada. It's like can it just be like a gritty grounded version? Like
Well, that's what
I think
I
that's what
think.
worked so
That's
well
what
with
I've.
the Nolan versions for so long was that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This
felt
is what I was
good.
saying. I was thinking about this to myself the other day, and I was thinking, you know, how can DC save itself? I mean, it's obviously Marvel led the way, not so much in recent years, but Marvel led the way in the way that it 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 it, it created the MCU, and DC has kind of almost had this schizophrenic approach as to
Mm.
what it wants to be, from mean and moody, um, to absolute, to absolute
Well, I
ridiculousness
think
with some.
their character selections are hard because DC has Batman and Superman that like if I was in charge, I wouldn't pick them. I wouldn't pick
Not to kick
Superman.
off,
Like
not to kick off. No.
no, yeah, because it's like their characters are fundamentally just
Well, that was so
it makes
that
it kind of goofy at
that's
times.
and also there are preconceptions. I mean, there are already
Yeah,
preconceptions that, and in most cases, a preconception is based on one person's ideal of what their Superman or their Batman can be, and so hence the reason why with Marvel, coming out with a secondary, if not tertiary, superhero like Iron Man to be your leader, to be your lead was genius, absolutely
they
genius. And then
redefined it. Yeah,
the larger characters kind of um came in and to complement his story. But yeah, no, and then I was thinking about, the absolute ridiculousness of in my humble opinion, um Snyder's Justice League, again mean and moody, but with that ultra fantastical uh choreography or special effects that went with it. And then I thought to myself, well, certainly I loved the Batman, and if I end up loving the Penguin as well, maybe that's their answer, is that making it more grounded, making it more realistic, making it less
I call it
less
mechanical.
fantastical. Maybe
Like I
that's
want it less fantastical, more mechanical, more
yeah,
brutish.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
like it's not the
Maybe
'89
that
Batmobile.
maybe that could be their brand. Maybe that could be their brand going forward. Maybe that is that's the way that they can differentiate themselves with from Marvel, and not try to placate sorry, to copy the Marvel model, um, but also to create something fresh as well. Who knows?
Well, I think that's that. Here's the cynical side of me of like I don't want it to become their brand because I know they'll ruin it. Like so, it's like leave those alone, let them keep doing that on the side, and then like you just keep Sonying up or whoever makes DC. It's like just keep focusing on whatever it is you're doing over here. Like everybody's got a lot of hope in James Gunn. It's like it's gonna be. I'll be interested to see what they do, but like I do like the Matt Reeves thing where it is kind of on the side and not taken. Like maybe there's not as many boardroom suits touching it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, like if that's what it takes, like then kind of keep both those going. Um, but yeah, it's the penguin will be interesting how it goes. I hope that they keep it like I can't help but watch it and keep seeing people pop up like, oh, is that so and so? Who's this character gonna be? And it's like I'm getting less of that the more I watch it. I'm like, just let it be what it is. Like maybe it
yeah,
won't
yeah,
be this
yeah, yeah,
fantastical cameo of the week. Oh, it's a young Catwoman. Oh, it's a whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because that just gets I think that's what led us to this point of like modern entertainment in the
yeah,
first place, of like always
yeah.
trying to stay one step ahead with being clever. It's like, let's just stop being clever and write good stories. And it feels like
Ultimately,
that's what this
and
is.
ultimately, if it transpires that it doesn't go anywhere near what you've speculated, you end up with disappointment anyway. So yeah, no,
Mhm.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. So last on your list, and I've certainly finished it as well. In fact, I finished it today. Rings of Power
Well, don't
finale.
forget Megalopolis. I also watched that.
No, no, I was gonna leave that to last. I was gonna leave that to last because
Yeah,
I think
Rings
that's
of
gonna
Power.
be it's gonna be a slog. So Rings of Power, my friend. I'll be quick. I thought season two was a masterpiece, and I'm sorry to any of the haters out there, but I am a Tolkien fan, and I thought that the way they dealt with subject matter, the people, characters, the character development, the character stories in season two were phenomenal. Oh, and I'll have to give you a visual guide here, folks. But Sean's brought out the wizard hat that he bought at his last wizarding convention, and he's looking rather Gandalf at this
Well,
moment in time.
looking very Bombadil.
Yeah, but no, I thought they did a really good job, and the finale I thought was exquisite, and I thought that the oh, by the way, guys, we're gonna talk about the episode, so spoilers alert.
Spoilers.
I
Come
thought
on.
the yeah, I thought that the crescendo of the Lady Gadriel and Sauron um, battle was perfect. I've seen a few people expecting magic to be thrown around, and I've seen a few people thinking it would be a lot grander. But I think the reason why I liked it was so visceral and
Mhm.
so and it was so sorry such a natural fight and almost like a battle of minds or
Mhm.
psychology. Excuse me. Um, and I preferred that to an excessive use of special effects, shall we say? But yeah, no, really,
Yeah.
really good. What about you, mate? What do you think?
I am on the same page. I am glad that they didn't overuse magic as well. I feel like they've managed to kind of keep Sauron like at bay in a lot of ways of like now I feel like that's part of his kind of conniving, kind of keeping it in like manipulation. Because I think that's been the most enjoyable part of the show all the way back into season one, retrospectively. It's like watching him like he's not just all knowing. He's not like,
No.
oh, I'm just whatever and just guns blazing blast through whatever. It's like you see him like be dealt a punch, change plans, take a sharp left. Oh, now I got a sharp right, and like you see him kind of navigating this water of trying to get to where he wants. And it's like, and I think I think it was Galadriel who was like, "Oh, this is part of your plan the whole time." And he's like, I'm paraphrasing. It's like, There's not like a grand scheme, but I'm working towards that end.
Mm.
Like I know where I want to go, and I'm just rolling with the punches, yin, yang, 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 like to get to where I need to be. Um, I'm really enjoying that aspect. The I don't think I really have any criticisms of the show. Like I did make the mistake of like looking something up because I'm like, I think they could have done a better job of, like, making it seem like Arondir didn't die, and then now he's, like, he's there. Didn't he get stabbed and he died, and then next thing you know, he's up and he's fine, uh,
Yeah,
at
that
the same
confused me
battle?
because I had to go back to episode 7 where I thought he'd been killed by
Yeah, and
Adar.
he's, like, and he's, like, perfectly fine, and it's like, okay, is he, like are we just supposed to just, like, wave our hand? Like, it's fine if it is. I can wave my hand over anything. He's not a primary character. Like, no, he's fine. He was okay. Like, if that's what it is, that's fine. But like, I kept getting in this headspace of like, well, maybe he's actually like maybe he's actually a bad guy now. Like, he's under control, or maybe there's some magic. But then it just kind of never came, and maybe it'll be a season 3 thing because now they're putting him with like Gilgalad and Elrond and him over Galadriel. It's like, why is he there? What the hell? Like, he's just a nobody. Like, so there's
Yeah.
kind of like I'm still in this world of like, is he just fine, or is there something more sinister going on where like now he's in the inner circle, whatever, whatever. But that's all beside the point. Um, I like the mental games. I like the watching Sauron be kind of human, but like have human qualities of like frustration with people not doing the things that he wants, like the emotions of like Celebrimbor being like, oh, if I had to take a drink every time somebody would said something cheesy like, oh, you're the Lord of the Rings. But I like the way it
Yeah.
fit him.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, you're a prisoner to it. Like you are the Lord of the Rings. It's like, oh, no. And then you see him kind of crying and getting pissed. And uh, I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. Elves are way more indestructible. Like they are resilient little buggers.
Mm.
Like just knocked off cliffs, having all sorts of stuff happen to them. It's just like I know there's some magic components of that. I've really enjoyed the dwarf stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah, man. The dwarf stuff has been for me the best, just the best. It's they're rad. They are absolutely rad, and the story, and the fact that we got to see, we heard in the Fellowship of the Rings that the dwarves dug too deep,
mm,
and awoke something very ancient, which was the Balrog, and we saw that happen to in the finale, and I thought, yeah, and again, it wasn't used excessively. They could
yeah,
have gone absolutely batshit crazy with that effect, and they didn't. They did exactly
no,
the right thing, and they showed a moment in time which gave way to Durin being king. And I thought it was really, really cool. Really, really cool. Very well tempered. Um,
no.
let's say more like the Lord of the Rings and less like the Hobbit, if that makes sense. If you know what I mean,
It's
in terms
knowing
of the execution.
it's being like it's that type of storytelling that I'm really appreciating more as time goes by, where it's like they're just trying to write a good story and kind of in it for the like
Yeah,
investing in the long term. Like you can tell there's going to be a season 3, assuming business stuff, whatever. And it's not like this. Every season has to be this big over the top, like world breaking thing. It's like, just tell the story, just tell a story. And then
yeah,
season 3 will tell more story. Like there's big stuff that's happening, but it's not this, I don't know, just overabundance of The Hobbit. Like, we don't have
Well,
smog rolling around in the
yeah, yeah.
gold
Put it
and
this way. Put it this way. Put it this way. It was it, it, for me. It was a lot more satisfying. Did it end with a cliffhanger? No, it didn't. The cliffhanger had already been and gone. But it did end with a satisfactory ending. It wasn't on a
yeah,
cliffhanger. It wasn't a da 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 wait for season 3 moment. But I tell you what, it was a lot more of a satisfactory finale than what I experienced with House of the Dragon. Unfortunately,
I still
that
haven't caught up
was
on that, but from what everybody's saying, it's like,
it's
I should just
good.
wait till next season comes out.
Well, it's I mean it's good. I mean it's some amazing stuff. The downside of it is it's building up. It's building up and building up, and they've taken 2 seasons to get to pretty much the same place that they started at. But hey, if it means that there's it builds up to something really rather epic, then I'm all in for it. But yeah, it wasn't as satisfying a conclusion as
It feels
than what I saw today.
it feels like it's a TV show that's being treated like a TV show. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. That's like
Yeah.
there's not it's not a movie arc where it's like the beginning of the season, there's a climax and then it comes off and ends like and it trickles back down and ends on a cliffhanger and it's like every season's like a little miniature movie. It's like no, shit's just always happening. Like
Yeah.
it's part of a bigger story and I think that's maybe where some of these series have really struggled in the last couple years
Mm,
with streaming and whatever shorter seasons, even including some of our Star Wars shows of like they're trying to treat it like a movie because you don't know if it's going to come back for another season. And I think that's where
mm.
I balk at the Skeleton Crew might have a season 2. It's like, okay, did you write
I'm
it that way or did you write it
100%,
like a movie? Like, what are you doing? And like this just
100,
feels like it's just fantasy.
100%, 100%, absolutely 100%. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. Now I'm going to sit back and listen to what you think of Megalopolis. Now let me premise
Yeah.
this. I love Coppola, Francis Ford, however you pronounce his surname. I love him. He has produced some of the most amazing productions and filming experiences I've ever witnessed or ever watched. The Godfather to this day is will and always has been in my top 10. Maybe not 3, but certainly The Godfather 1 and 2 in my top 10 without a doubt. Quite regularly. And when I mean regularly, I'm talking about every couple of years or so. Watch them back to back.
Mhm.
Um, some of his other productions I have enjoyed. Some of them I haven't enjoyed as much. I mean, I really enjoyed Dracula mainly because of um, Gary Oldman.
Mhm.
On the downside, Keanu Reeves playing an English or a British aristocrat is I don't think I ever want to see again. But I did enjoy it nonetheless. Now, I've seen some amazing reviews from folk that really enjoyed it and thought it was an absolute visual masterpiece. I've also seen completely the polar opposite of that as well. So I'm really keen to understand what you think, mate.
Now let me take my Bombadil hat off. Um, So I decided that I was going to go see Megalopolis yesterday. It
Yeah.
was me and one other person in the theater. I will start by saying I think I think all the severely negative reviews are there's 2 camps. I think there's 2 camps of people. I think there is one camp of people that is the right right-leaning blowhard kind of the usual suspects where it's they don't quite get it, but they can maybe tell that there's some stuff in there that is against them and they don't like that.
Mhm.
They don't fully understand what the hell is being said. Granted, I don't know if I fully understand what was being said or if anything was really being said. But there are some some smells in there that are like, this feels like this is if I was a alt-right YouTube laser-eyed douchebag, like I could watch that movie and go, I feel like this is talking about me. Like,
Mhm.
and I don't like that. So therefore, do not like this movie. I think there is a huge camp of them. The other half, I would say, is I think they were I think they're you okay, let me roll back. If you walk into this movie and expect to come out if you walk into this movie without a film degree, a film studies degree, and expect to walk out with like a I understand what the undertones and the commentary and I understand what this meant. You are not going to get that. Like you do not walk in with that expectation. Also, but also don't walk in with the idea that like this is the worst movie ever made of this year and it's garbage because I don't think it is. The
Mm.
movie is a visual wonder. Like it is like you can tell one thing that I noticed like immediately the movie, cinematography, just the way the film is shot from end to end feels like an homage to where we've come with filmmaking from the
Right
beginning
on.
to early cinematic techniques to modern day uh special effects. Like there are parts of the movie where it's like it looks very style where there's two characters standing there and then there's very clearly a shitty projector projecting like the background of something like cars where it's like oh there's the trees going by and it's like that's a screen like that is not real. There's very
Mm.
obvious stuff like that like you see almost like if I'm not a film studies person, but I feel like I could even see like, hey, you could watch this movie and be like just picking out like the techniques of like, oh, he did this. This is so and so that was done on like Ben Hur. Um, there's this blah 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 yada yada yada. And so it's like it's a kind of a marvel, the end to end nitpicking and pieces and this and that's done. I think that lends itself. The story feels it feels very Shakespearean. The names of people, the kind of the it's like a modern Shakespearean kind of futuristic kind of storyline that can feel disjointed at times. Um
Mm.
Schizophrenic at others. But then also like the way I would kind of describe the movie to somebody, it's like there are times where I feel like I'm on the cusp of like a breakthrough of like feeling inspired, feeling like I get it, and then next thing you know, it's just like yoink, left turn, cast. I don't know. And then I'm just like lost again. And then it's like, okay, now
Mm.
then you kind of ease back into that, like, okay, I feel like I get where the story's going now. What is this telling me about myself, society, yada yada yada. And it is a trip. It is a I
So it
need somebody smarter than me to explain what it
so it,
means, I think.
is it quite surreal? Is it just extremely intelligent, or is it quite surreal as well? Like a Wes Anderson film, for example. Is it quite
Both.
surreal?
It's
Oh,
like a
okay.
weird just mashing of the 2. The and I think you have it's weird. It's like because I think it's easy to sit there and be like, this is fucking chaos. Like who who edited this film? But then like you look at the actors that are in it and the performances that are given, and like there is really intelligent stuff that I can understand in it. And I'm like, okay, like it clearly has a point. There's
Mm.
pieces of it that I am missing, that I am just
Mm.
like, I'm not there. But it is very surreal. Like uh Adam Driver knocks it out of the park. Uh
Mm.
the Shia LaBeouf, I didn't even know he was in it. Fantastic performance. Just
Good.
just insanity. It fits in perfectly. Just every actor in it was just firing on all cylinders. But I feel like it's if you're somebody who wants to walk in and have like a superhero movie explained to you and to be like, here's the beginning, the middle, the end, here's the arc, here's the bad
Yeah, yeah,
guy,
yeah,
here's this, and it's like that.
yeah.
This is not that. This is a cerebral, like, uh, somebody who has something that they are trying to convey. It's like Tenet, like the mind boggling stuff of
Fuck
Tenet,
Tenant.
but like, ba-ding, but like take that to the next level and like try to like put that into like society and like what we as a civilization mean and like what our purpose is and helping people or not or building something for the future. And like it is that. That is what this movie is.
Right.
Is it perfect? No. No. Is it, do you sit there and just go, what the fuck am I watching? Like what is happening? Yes, you'll say that probably 50 times throughout this movie. Uh but if you like stop, to me this isn't like a movie for the day. It's a movie for like the next 10 years. Like
Right.
there's gonna be people who are way smarter than me who watch this and go, they're gonna write like a 9-page Reddit thread to be like, hey, here's what this actually conveys. And I'm gonna read it and go, those are words that I would have never come up with, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
see it, but I don't fully get it. Um, it is wild. It's a trip. It is don't
I
try to
remember
like
when.
assume where it's going. You just sitting there just going, wow, this
Yeah,
is bananas.
I remember when Brazil came out. I don't know if you've ever seen Brazil, the Terry Gilliam, the Terry Gilliam film from 1985. It's very, very surreal and quite the futuristic look on social commentary in a either a parallel in a parallel world or in certainly indeed a, a boilerplate future. And I loved it, and I absolutely loved it. And it was written by Terry Gilliam, one of the Monty Python guys, and it is surreal to
Yeah.
hell. And when the film was originally marketed, you had this amazing shot of Jonathan Pryce in this armor with wings, and he rescues his heroine or his love. And it's a clip that lasts about 10 seconds in the actual movie itself. It's
Mm.
irrelevant, if I'm perfectly honest with you, to the movie itself. And the rest of the film is actually more of a surreal take on the class system. Actually, a lot of it is around the class system and the controlling of the lower classes, um, and how this guy that was uh, brought into the that comes from the elite is kind of brought down to earth and grounded and becomes, quite the champion for the undertrod. Anyway, point being is that folks went in thinking it would be a science fiction masterpiece and they came out hating it. Of course, 10, 15 years later, it's now revered, sorry, as one of the most amazing films of all time. Um, I think
It's
you're right. I think
it's very Citizen Kane-ish, where it's like you want if you want to watch a movie that makes like sense,
yeah.
don't watch this. Like Citizen
Yeah,
Kane
yeah,
isn't
yeah,
like
yeah.
a nail biter.
No.
Or like a or 2000 a Space Odyssey. Like it's
Yeah.
if I had to summarize it very briefly, you take a blender, you put Shakespeare, you put Doctor Strangelove, some Adderall, and some psilocybin, blend it all up. This is what you get. Like, ta-da!
Nice.
Like,
I want
it's
to. I want to see it. I liked very, very occasionally. I do like something that melts my brain. Um, it's just a shame it's not doing what it should be doing at the box office. It's not even breaking even,
I don't
which
think
is
he cares. Like when you
really
watch the movie, it's
unfortunate.
like,
I
oh, I
hope not.
don't care. I don't think he cares if anybody watches this movie.
And did you say there were two of you in the theater at the time?
Yeah, just two of us. Yep.
So did you even get the interaction from the member of the staff?
No, there was nothing. What was supposed to happen?
Well, so I believe there's an interview going on. There's an interview going on in the film, at which point a member of the cinema staff, comes out and interacts with and asks questions of oh God, what's his name? The hero.
Giancarlo Esposito. Oh, Adam Driver.
No. Adam Driver. So in the premiere and in subsequent viewings, I believe there is a member of the film has been set up and cut so that someone in real life asks Adam Driver some questions while he's doing a press what while he's doing a press interview, and that someone should be a member of the staff. You didn't have that.
No, we did not have that.
Okay. All right.
There's a couple places I could see that happening in the movie where, like, maybe it sounds like there was one part specifically I'm thinking of where, like, the audio seems like it was dropped a little bit, like where
Right.
there's somebody actually asking something.
Yeah.
And I could see that happening to make it more engaging. But, like, what's funny is I'm laughing because there's like 4 different places in that movie where that could have happened, and
Right.
it wouldn't have surprised me because this movie is cut in, like,
Right.
I could not imagine being in the editing room and being like, "I need you to explain this to me one more time, what you want me to do here." Like, if there
Yeah.
was a crew of people who fully understood the beginning to end of this, that to me is the masterpiece. Like, to have a couple people with a vision is one thing, but to have a whole crew of, like, editing, sound, because the soundtrack uh is amazing too. Just the whole movie is just, it's like every film ever made just mashed into this 2-hour long rampage of just brilliance and mixed with, like, chaos and just, am I an idiot? Or is this stupid? Like, what
Hmm.
is happening? Like, uh it's not one you can get up and go walk away from. Like, I need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to pause it. You need to put subtitles on and you need to pause it and then, like, and then come back. But I'm waiting for that Reddit article for, like, somebody who's really, really smart and
Right.
knows, like, watches it and goes, "I get it. Like, I get it 100%, and, like, and I'm here to share it with all of you." That is what I'm looking forward to
Got it.
because
Got it.
I'm like
Uh,
70% of the way there.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. Whether I get a chance to see it at the cinema is another thing. I'm
Watch it at home. Like, you don't have to race.
yeah.
There's nothing
No, I was going to say
that really.
I've got a busy week next week. We've got maybe potentially a visitor from the States coming over next week, and then I've got 2 weeks before I then take a week off work. First week in November, so probably not going to happen. But anyway, I am looking forward to it though. I am looking forward to seeing it.
Well, you're not gonna get spoiled, so you have nothing to worry about there.
Very cool, mate. Well, see, I mean, it's been a quiet week, but we've covered a lot. We've covered a heck of a lot. All right, buddy. Well,
Yes.
next week's going to be a very important week, and you've already said
I don't think so. I don't think it
you.
will. Nope. Eh.
I don't care. I'm going to give it away this time. Sorry, not this time next week, but we're hopefully going to go back to recording on a Wednesday, folks. Of which next Wednesday will be my friend Sean's birthday. So I hope we can have a nice catch up on his birthday. We'll make it quick so he can kick back and enjoy his abundance of presents and cake and other nice things that I'm sure he'll be showered with. But yeah, all good, man, all good. Buddy, thank you very much for recording with me again. This has been wow, we're true to form. Hour and 44, true to form.
Where does the time go when you're having fun?
We can drag anything out of anything, can't we? All right, dude. Well, listen, thank you again for recording with me. Thank you to everyone that's listening. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for just hanging out with us. Um, as always, if you've got any ideas, suggestions, or maybe some feedback, good or bad, just let us know. Sean, buddy, let everyone know where they can catch us.
We are so glad you spent some time with us today. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps us grow beyond our dozen of listeners. And don't forget to swing by our website at justchillin.com for more fun content and ways to stay connected, including our Instagram and including some of the blog post updates that we post uh, periodically when an episode calls for it. To close out this week's tip, I have one. I prepared one ahead of time. If on a computer, you can do Control Shift T as in tomato, and that will reopen previously closed browser tabs. In case you didn't know that. Command or Control Shift T. So if you accidentally close that tab, you can open it right back up again. That's all I got.
That's excellent. I've only got a today's thought is that every next level of your life will demand a different you.
One more time. Say it one more time.
Every next level of your life will demand a different you.
Makes it sound like a video game. I kind of like it.
It's the first thing I picked up. To be honest with you, I probably should have
This
read
is
it before I started reading it out.
This is the top tier content y'all pay for.
Yeah. Here we go. Here's another one. This is from January the 5th this year. Who wrote? Who can I credit this to? Oh, I can't. It's anonymous. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? Yeah, I might leave that one as well. Anything else?
Always check to make sure there's toilet paper before you sit down.
Yes, that's more profound. I think actually more profound, and in many ways more relevant. All right, buddy. Well, I'll speak to you this time next week. No, not this
All
time
right.
next week. Next Wednesday. Sorry. Take it easy, mate. Have a good one.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Until then, bye.
Bye bye now.